Hello everybody, me again, and we're here for our second lesson on using HTML and CSS. Now, one of the things about this class that was kind of interesting is that we're moving very fast. HTML is pretty easy, as you could tell from the very first screen recording that you saw. It's almost nothing to simply put text onto the blank canvas of your browser screen. What we're going to do now is we're going to put some more text into your browser that we can then manipulate in certain ways with CSS or cascading style sheets. Now I'm going to take my Hello World HTML document and I'm going to open it instead of using text edit, which is what we used last time. I'm going to open it up in Text Wrangler. This is the text editor that I prefer to use. And I prefer to use whenever I know I'm going to do some more detailed work on my web page. And the reason I like it is because as you type and as you develop your web page, you get wonderful little color cues in your code, and you'll see how some of the color cues change depending on the type of code that you're typing into your text. But Text Wrangler automatically detects whether you're using the HTML language and other languages depending on what you put in your doc type declaration and what types of tags you're using, or you can set it to other languages. But we're not going to worry about that. We're going to go with the default. So here we have our Hello World page, which you'll recall. We're going to open that in Firefox again. Looks like this. It's Hello World. Not too exciting. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can do something a little bit more interesting than this. We're going to add material to the body of your text. And one of the ways that we can do this, let's add, say, 3 or 4 paragraphs that we can then use CSS to style. And you can type in, or cut and paste 3 or 4 paragraphs of your own text, or you can do what a lot of people do, and that is use the lorem ipsum site to generate, and let's go 3 paragraphs, start with lorem ipsum, to generate random paragraphs of text in Latin. Okay, and the reason that people like to use lorem ipsum is because you can generate text that isn't going to distract you from your efforts at coding up a page. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to do something so that we don't have these great big giant long lines of text. What we're going to do is in Text Wrangler, we're going to do what's called soft wrap text. And by soft wrapping, what we do is the lines will wrap as they come to the edge of your window, but there's no hard line breaks. There are no hard line breaks, which can sometimes interfere with your coding. So anyway, we have pasted our random text into the body of your HTML page. Let's save it. Okay, we've already saved. And then let's open this up again in Firefox. There we go. Now we have 4 paragraphs of lorem ipsum, but it doesn't recognize that these are paragraphs. The reason it looks like this is because even though you have line breaks here that were created, when we pasted in here, the browser doesn't know that these are individual paragraphs until you put the appropriate tag into your code to identify the beginning and the end of a paragraph. So we'll put that in there, save. Now you have 2 paragraphs. Let's do it again. Let's get rid of that. This is our real Hello World page. Let's do that with each one of the paragraphs. You want to surround your individual paragraphs with an opening p tag and a closing p tag to let your browser know that you have now created, let's refresh, 3 paragraphs. Now here we have 3 paragraphs of text. We're getting somewhere now. We're starting to get somewhere interesting. But now what are we looking at here? We're looking at text. It's all the way across the screen. Let's make the screen smaller. It moves with the side of the screen to a certain extent, but again, it's not very interesting. Not very interesting. So let's imagine that the lorem ipsum here is text that you have written that you want to format. So well, how do we do that? How do we get these paragraphs to look more interesting on the screen? Well, that's where the CSS comes into play. Let's do something very, very basic with the CSS in order to give your presentation a little bit more pizzazz. In the head of your document, and what I like to do is I like to leave the title near the top, and let's indent this so that we can read our code a little bit better. In the head, we are going to embed an internal style sheet. And the code that we need for that is style type equals text/CSS, and then we have an open tag for style with type text/CSS, and then a close style tag. And then we're going to save that. Now so far nothing's happened. We have no style commands yet in the style section. Between the open and closing style tags, we're going to put some CSS. And let's see, what will we do? Well, first thing I think I'd like to do is establish a border for each paragraph. So let's start with, let's see, your paragraph tag, and open curly bracket, close curly bracket. And let me format this. And what we're going to do is we're going to say for any occurrence of your p tag, we're going to say width equals, colon, is going to equal 400 pixel semicolon. Now we're going to save that. Okay, now we've saved it, and now we're going to refresh. Boom. Now we're starting to kind of get somewhere. Now we see that these, now that we've put in this block, this is called a block, one block of CSS commands. And there's only one real command here. And let me tell you what each part of the command is. The P here, which represents the P down here, the opening P tag, for paragraph, this is what is called the selector. This is telling your browser that for every instance of this tag, we're going to do whatever's inside of these 2 brackets. And so what we did was we used the CSS command width in order to establish that the width of any given paragraph is going to be 400 pixels on your screen. And then every time you finish with one particular command, you want to end it with a semicolon so that in case you give another command, for instance, you want to change the color of the font, and let's do that. The command for coloring your font is color, and then we establish the color, and we're just going to say red, semicolon. Now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here. This is what is called the selector. This is a block of text, this is a block of CSS code. Within this block of CSS code is the selector, and then we have what is called here, width and color, are both properties that we are going to set for that tag. So property width with the value of 400 pixels and property color with the value of red is going to change your paragraphs. It's going to format, we're going to give your paragraph the style of a width 400 pixels and a color of red. Let's save this. And let's see what happens. Boom, look at that. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Let's do something a little bit better. I think that the width of my paragraphs is a little bit thin, so what we're going to do is we're going to change the width from 400 pixels to 600 pixels. Save. There we go. Now that's a little bit better. That is a little bit better, I think. Now